Alright, hey, what's up guys? It's Zach Rowe. I'm here. We're going to do a little bit different video here today. I'm going to be breaking down this YouTube video. It's a workout put out by, I believe, Pop Sugar Fitness. So, essentially, what I struggle with the fitness industry is all, like, the terrible information that gets put out there. And by big corporations or even just like individual trainers that don't really have the educational background and are just, putting out pretty standard bad information, and the general public doesn't really know the difference. They just see, a lot of followers or someone with a really good physique, and they think, oh, that person, must know what they're talking about if they look good or they have a lot of people following them. That's not necessarily the truth. Many people just don't have much of an educational background in kinesiology, and I come from a background. I'm getting my degree in kinesiology with emphasis in fitness at Cal State Long Beach, and I have my personal training certification, among other specializations and whatnot. I don't want to go through it all right now, but I struggle with all the bad information out there, and the point of this video isn't necessarily to rip on, no pun intended, but the fitness class called Ripped, but I'm not trying to rip on these people, and I plan on kind of making this a series of different kind of videos, but it's just to explain to people that the science behind it and why a lot of these workout videos that people put out are just not good and just below par for multiple different kinds of reasons, and it's just ultimately, I believe it's just to make it very digestible and like just low-hanging fruit of fitness to catch those people kind of just teetering, but ultimately it doesn't really help them at all. It's just it's a quick cash grab, I believe, for most people. But anyways, I have a video here. It's 11 minutes. I'm gonna pause in some places. I'm gonna skip through some places, but I'm just gonna explain the science and what they did good, what they did bad, and how you can kind of improve your exercise programming. Alright, let's play it.
Today I'm here with Tina Shorter, half of the husband and wife team that created Ripped, and she's going to lead us through a killer full body workout.
Alright, so first off, this 10-minute workout, this is a really common thing of, just quick little workouts like this. Realistically, to get any kind of physiological benefits from your exercise, I'd say at least 30 minutes, if not 45 minutes. Doing a 10-minute workout, it's just, you're not getting your heart rate elevated for a very long time. You might be, yeah, and you might be putting some kind of stress on your muscles to help them grow, but it's just tough. It's tough. You have to do multiple of these 10-minute workouts throughout the day, and then at that point, it's just like you might as well just do like a 30-40 minute workout just straight. Alright.
Hey everybody, I am so excited to be here today with Susie and Jenny, and we're going to be taking you through the Ripped Express workout today. Ripped is actually an acronym, and we're going to be taking you through each letter of that acronym in today's exercises. So we're going to begin with the first letter, which is R, which stands for resistance. So we're going to begin in a horse stance position. So our feet, it looks like this. Our feet are wider than shoulder width apart. Our toes are pointing out. Our knees are not going to go over our toes. Our pelvis is going to be tucked under. When you do that, you're going to engage your core. Your chest isn't going to be up, and your shoulders are going to be back and down. So we'll start, what we're going to do is we're going to start by holding one.
Okay, so a few different things there. First off, the R stands for resistance. There's resistance training, so nothing wrong with that. That's cool. They got some dumbbells. That's cool. Just a little off topic, but that lady in the back, she just smiles this whole entire time. I've never smiled more in my entire life, especially while working out. If you're working out hard, you really shouldn't be that happy. I'll be honest, I like working out, but it's just like I'm not trying to smile that whole time. That's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, resistance. So now they're gonna do some bicep curls. My first problem with that is when you're doing resistance training is that you want to hit all your large, big muscle groups first, your compound movements. Compound movements being like will hit multiple muscle groups and then at multiple different joints. So examples of compound movements would be like squats, deadlifts, chest press, rows, even like an overhead press. What they're doing right now is called bicep curl, and that's an isolation exercise. It isolates one muscle group, being your bicep, and it's at one joint, being your elbow. So not starting off great with the exercise selection. A better exercise to start with that you want to like that incorporates the biceps, that's a compound movement, would be like a bent over row, a pendulate row, some kind of lat exercise. They don't have a machine, but they could do like some kind of band with a like an anchor point at the top or something like that. All those would work. Biceps is not a very good exercise to start with. Second off, their stance. I would never lift weights like that. It's not a good secure stance to be in. Your toes are turned out a lot. She said a horse stance, but I've never heard in my life. Maybe it's because like they're bow-legged kind of. Maybe that's why they call it horse stance. But it's like a half sumo squat. Not very secure. I just be in like more of a athletic stance, feet shoulder width apart, like soft knees, maybe a little bit of bend, like a little hip extension, pushing the hips back maybe, but even like a bicep curl, you kind of just want to be standing upright, engaging the core. What I did like is her cues. She had good cues, the pelvic tilt, so engaging the core, and then the shoulders down and back. Those are good cues. I'll give her props on that. All right, we'll keep going.
Arm static while we curl 10 times with the opposite arm. Then we'll switch and for another 10, and then we'll do 10 together. You ready, ladies?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, let's start our first 10. Here we go.
Okay, so what she's doing is some isometrics with one arm. So just holding the contraction. It's kind of weird that they're holding it while they are explaining it, because I mean, they're holding it for even significantly longer, so that means they're not really hitting a proper intensity to really elicit a response. Because if you're holding, I mean, they held it for like 20-30 seconds before they even started, so I don't know, I guess we'll kind of see where they're at towards the end of this, but you want to be hitting a good quality intensity where you don't have to necessarily go to failure after every set, but you want to be getting close to that failure, so you're hitting the proper intensity to actually elicit a response in the muscle fibers to rip apart, which then eventually, after you recover, you drink your protein, you sleep, whatever, and then it recovers and it goes back stronger. But yeah, that's all.
We got 2 more, opposite side. Now we'll do both arms. Good. We're working our legs too, just for an extra calorie burn in this 10 minutes that we have.
No, she isn't wrong with that. You know, they're doing kind of like a half sumo squat, but I mean, you got to pick what you're doing. You're doing resistance training, so you're not really trying to burn calories, right? If you're trying to burn calories, just do cardio. They're trying to mix too many things in with one. Resistance training, you're trying to build your muscles. Cardio, you're trying to burn calories and burn fat, ideally, right? So, you know, that doesn't really make sense.
Today. Good. What we're going to do is take our weights very carefully over our heads for a tricep extension. Feet are slightly feet are shoulder width apart for stability, and our arms.
Alright, so tricep overextension, you know, that makes sense. They're kind of supersetting it with the biceps, but again, you'd rather do a compound movement. But if you're going to do biceps, doing triceps right after, they're opposite muscle groups, so that makes sense. And then the stance that they're in right now, this is what the stance should have been just for the bicep curls. This is kind of what I was trying to explain, shoulder width apart, like she said. Yeah, alright.
Arms are back at a 90-degree angle, and we're going to extend up for 15. Here we go. 1. Good. As you come up in 15, and we've got 5. Squat position, and we're going to work our shoulders. Make sure we're nice and deep, tailbone tucked under, and we're going to follow the same pattern with our shoulders.
Alright, I like how she said nice and deep with the sumo squat, and she's like quarter squatting, but whatever. It's not deep at all. But this exercise right here, the 90-degree angle shoulder press, aggravates me to no end. I can't stand when people shoulder press like this, it's just not good. It's not good at all. There's a few different things going on with that. One is you're cutting out the bottom part of the range of motion. So, you know, your elbows can go a lot lower than that. So you're decreasing the range of motion, and you're just, I mean, at least you're doing the hard part of the press, which is the top part, but you're cutting a lot of range of motion. And then they got their elbows flared back so much. You know, it's kind of hard to explain, but imagine if you kind of have like a 90-degree angle and going out from her chest or from her shoulder, like towards us, that would be 0 degrees, and then where her elbow is at is 90 degrees. You want to be somewhere there in the middle at the 45-degree angle, because that's best for your shoulders, the biomechanics of your shoulder. What happens if you do this a lot is your humerus pushes into your acromion, and it smushes what's called your bursa. It's your bursa sac. A lot of your joints have a bursa, which it essentially lubricates the joint, makes it nice and move properly. So you're pushing on that bursa, and it causes what's called bursitis. Anything with itis at the end is inflammation. So bursitis is inflammation of the bursa, and that can be really painful. And the third problem is that you'll see when they go to do this is they're not locking out properly at the top because their elbows are back in that 90-degree angle. When you have the 90-degree angle with your elbow, you press up, and then, you know, your humerus, your long arm bone, runs in the acromion, and you can't lock out. It's physically impossible unless you have some kind of weird anatomy with your bones. But if you bring your elbow forward at a 45-degree angle, your humerus isn't going to run into that bone, and you can lock out properly. Full extension. So that's the 3 problems I have with this one. Let's just see them do it.
We're going to hold one arm static while we press with the other. Make sure you hold your opposite arm static at 9.
The lady on the left and then the lady in the middle, you can kind of see how their elbow isn't completely locked out, and they're actually kind of pressing up over their head too, especially the lady in the middle. That's just proper overhead pressing mechanics. But the thing is, they're using pretty lightweight, so it's just, you know, you're not gonna really notice much of a problem. But if you get any kind of significant weight, which they should be, like I said, you reach that proper intensity, this is just not gonna work out.
90 degrees. Good. Can we drop it lower?
Oops.
Yes.
All right.
I can't pause it properly.
Last one. Now we switch arms for 10. Good.
But you can see
arm up.
she's stopping. You can see especially the lady in the middle back. She's ending the press with her elbow bent and the weight over her head, which is not good.
Let it slide. Arm. Ooh, come on, you. Good. Ooh, ooh.
Right.
So that is resistance. We're done with our weights. We're going to move on to the eye.
Okay, so the first 3.5 minutes of this little workout was resistance, and they did 3 different exercises in 3.5 minutes, which is ridiculous, crazy fast. You need more repetitions, more rest in between, increased intensity, like I said. Anyways, we'll move on.
And ripped, which is intervals. So let's put our weights away. Now, in intervals.
Okay, so intervals, that's cool. They're going from muscular endurance, essentially, to interval training, like anaerobic capacity. So that makes sense. That's cool. I like that.
We're going to be focusing on getting our heart rates up for about 20 seconds, and then we're going to bring our heart rate down in a recovery for about 10. So.
And that's pretty common too. Essentially what she's explaining is a Tabata. It's 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off for 8 rounds. I don't know if they do 8 rounds, but that's basically a Tabata time interval. It's really common in anaerobic capacity.
We're going to start with a simple boxer shuffle. Can you give me a boxer shuffle?
Yes, there we go.
Good. All right. Recovery. Because we're not stopping to recover, we're going to continue moving as we recover. Now we're going to take it to a jumping jack in 3, 2, 1. Good. Now our heart rate's going to really use your legs. Good.
I feel my heart rate climbing.
Do you feel it? Okay, great job.
All right.
Alright, so all those movements were good. They're all cardio movements, you know, full body movements. I like this. This is good.
Yeah. Okay.
We're just going to recover for a few seconds and bring it back up. In 3, 2, 1. Jack. Good. 5 seconds. Really easy. Oh, yeah.
So good.
Now, next time, this is your last time. So when I get to the regular Jack, good. Jacks, go.
Go.
And that was intervals. Okay, let's move on to the first P in ripped, power. Now let's grab.
Alright, and then that's where she loses me again. I like the resistance and then the intervals, but then the first P is power, which is not good. You want to do power. If you're gonna do power, it's gonna have to be more towards the beginning of your workout, because power by nature is fast, explosive movements, low repetitions, high sets, or a high amount of sets, and relatively good amount of rest in between. Because when you're working on power, to talk about bioenergetics, you're using primarily your phosphocreatine system, and then say you have maybe, that's like 1 to 2 reps. Maybe if you're getting into like 5-ish, that top kind of range for power, you're getting into anaerobic glycolysis. So you've already done resistance training, which, you know, uses that anaerobic / aerobic glycolysis, and then you've done intervals, which is more aerobic based. So you're going on the far ends of the bioenergetics pathway, which is oxidation. Now you're trying to go back, but you've already depleted those the phosphocreatine systems, and you're not resting enough in between your intervals and your power to let that phosphocreatine system refill, and your anaerobic glycolysis, probably same thing. You're not giving yourself enough rest to really tap into that anaerobic glycolysis to use. So, you know, this power should have been the first thing before resistance, ideally.
Grab our weights again. We're gonna need these. Today we're gonna be working our back muscles. Power muscles are your larger muscle groups. Today we're gonna be working our back. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with our...
Alright, so she's not wrong about that. Your big muscle groups tend to be more power oriented because it's the type 2 muscle fibers, especially type 2X. Those are like the fast twitch muscle fibers. So your back, like your lats, your quads, big, your chest even, are really big muscle groups that tend to be more predisposed to type 2 muscle fibers, as opposed to like the slow twitch type 1 muscle fibers. So she's right about that.
Feet shoulder width apart, okay? We're gonna have soft knees, and we're gonna bring our weights forward, slightly hinging at the hips, okay? Make sure your back is not arched and not hunched over, so that you can support your back in these movements. Now let's go. We're gonna do 2 flies and 2 rows, and that's 1 set. We'll do 10. Ready? Go. Open, open, now row. 2 rows. Good. Elbows go.
Okay, then she lost me again because you're doing like some weird like superset with flies, which you'd never do as a power exercise. You'd always do compound movements, and a fly is an isolation exercise, isolating rear delts and a little bit of rhomboids in your back. And then you're doing a row, which you could do a rowing movement for power, but it would be more like maybe like you have a paddle rope tied off to like a weight, and then you're doing like pulls like that, which would be kind of like a row. You wouldn't be doing like a lot light dumbbell rows like that. And then they're not doing it with the high enough velocity. The really important part of power is high velocity, and there's no kind of velocity going on right now. It's essentially the exact same thing as your resistance part. You're doing the exact same thing, but now you're just doing different muscle groups.
Go straight back. Now open again. Again. 2 rows. We can keep going. Between your shoulder blades. How you guys feeling?
Great. Good. It feels good.
Always engage your core. 1 more. Last time. And row. And squeeze. Great job. We're done with power. We can put our weights down. We're moving on to the second P in ripped, which is plyometrics.
Alright, now plyometrics. Again, it's very similar to power in that it's using those bioenergetics, the phosphocreatine and anaerobic glycolysis. Plyometrics would be probably even something I'd do before even power work. But what the thing is with plyometrics is it's the key behind it is the eccentric load. So the lowering phase, where you're getting a stretch in the muscle fiber and also building up elastic energy in your joints. You're getting that stretch on your connective tissue in your joints, and then you explode up. So that's plyometrics. So now see what they do.
Plyometrics is for speed, agility, and conditioning.
And that's not true. It's not speed or agility. Those are two separate things. Speed is maximal velocity in a straight line, and then agility is the ability to accelerate, decelerate, and change direction. Plyometrics is the ability to produce force quickly. So that's incorrect.
Your body for any sports-based activity. So what we're going to do is we're going to start in sports stance. Now, like sumo, your feet are wider than shoulder width apart. However, this time our toes are going to be facing forward, and our balance is going to be on the balls of our feet. Okay, our knees.
So I like that. She said sports stance. I say athletic stance, but that's good. That's proper. This is what they should have been doing for the first exercise. Instead of having the toes turned out like that, they should have been in this athletic stance. Wide, a little bit wider than hip width. Soft knees, hips back. That's good.
These are very soft. Okay. Now you want to be ready for any type of lateral movement or even a jump. So that's important. So what we're going to do today's workout is baseball. That's the sport we've chosen. So we've got our catcher's mitt ready, and we're going to take 2 steps to the right and catch the ground ball. Other side, fly ball. Good. 2 to the right.
Okay, so as I just explained, this is not plyometrics because there's no eccentric loading followed by like a explosive concentric. They're just shuffling and reaching down. So this is more just like cardio, kind of like their interval thing. I don't know how long they're going to do it for, but yeah. And then it's a little cringy with the baseball thing. They have the baseball mitt. I guarantee none of these ladies have ever played baseball or softball in their life. So trying to mimic a baseball movement is kind of weird. It's very sport specific, and they're not trying to prepare for baseball. So it's just, I don't know, it doesn't really make sense. But this is not plyometrics at all.
Right, fly low. Last time, fly ball. Good. Ground, stay low, fly ball.
Okay, so now they're picking up the pace a little bit, which is good, but it's still not, there's still no eccentric loading. They're just moving quicker now, which is just gonna, it's a little bit harder cardio. They're gonna increase their heart rate a little bit more, but it's still not plyometrics.
Good. Ground. Last time. 2, and then we pick it up with. Good. Fly ball. Woo!
Yeah.
That was plyometrics. Congratulations, you made it to the E in RIPT for endurance, mixed martial arts movement. So we're going to get back in our sumo squat position, nice and deep, and we're going to do.
Alright, so by endurance, I'm assuming they're kind of like aerobic capacity. So that's good. They put that at the end. If you're working on multiple different athletic components, you should always put aerobic capacity at the end. That should be number one, because like I said earlier, bioenergetics is using the oxidative system, which is going to take the longest to boot up, but can supply energy for the longest. And theoretically, if you don't go too high with your heart rate, you can theoretically keep the oxidative system going indefinitely, as long as you fuel yourself properly with enough carbohydrates and fats and whatnot. But yeah, endurance last, or well, there's the D, but this is towards the end, which is good.
Punches. You're going to follow along with me. You guys ready?
Ready.
Yeah. Let's go. Jab it. Quickly. Punch it. Yeah. Good. We're almost done. After this, we got ground and pound. Ground and pound. Keep them there. And yeah.
Okay, So that was fine. It just wasn't really long enough. Aerobic capacity to really elicit a response has to be at least, I'd say at least 5, 6, 7 minutes at least. And the longer the better. So this whole workout's 10 minutes. That wouldn't even be enough for just aerobic capacity in itself. And it has all these other components in it too. So yeah. And then they have that crappy horse stance again, which I don't like, but whatever.
So Tina, we made it through RIPPE. What's the D stand for?
Great question. The D in RIPT is for diet and nutrition. So remember, food is fuel.
All right. All right. So last one, I didn't even get to this part in the video. When I kind of pre-looked at this, diet and nutrition, which is very interesting. She's not wrong. Let's just hear what she has to say.
You want to make sure you're eating a clean, balanced diet to really make your workouts count.
Definitely. Thank you so much for the workout.
Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for watching Fit Sugar TV.
Alright, so then some just general basic advice. Eat clean, cool things. So yeah, that was it. So there should have been a cool down at the end. I thought the D was actually going to be like deload, so to bring down your heart rate and just do some static stretches. Yeah, bring the heart rate down, bring the breathing rate down, bring the core temperature down, but they kind of skipped that. 10 minutes. I guess stretching and deloading is not a necessity. Diet isn't, rather. You should always, eat some good food after you work out. Make it count. Help yourself with the recovery process. But that was interesting. I did not expect diet there. Alright, so that was it. I feel like we covered some good stuff here. If you have any questions regarding this, let me know. If you like this and want to see something else like this. This was a little long. It's almost 27 minutes. So maybe I'll pick some shorter videos in the future, or just kind of try and go a little faster. But I want to make sure I get all my thoughts out. That's it. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.